Just got back from Halas Hall. Busy day. Caleb Williams, Ben Johnson, open locker room. I share all my top takeaways right now. Ben, over to your right.
What the was that?
What's up, Bears fans?
People want to hear me talk.
What's going on, Bears fans? Welcome to another episode of the Nicholas Moriano Show. I'm your host, Nicholas Moriano. Make sure to like, subscribe, leave a comment, and of course, share this YouTube channel with all of your fellow Bears fans. So I have a different layout going on right now. I guess apparently on StreamYard, you can now stream horizontally like you normally would, landscape mode, but also vertically on YouTube. So that's a new feature. If you are using that stream where I am just vertical, let me know if it's I guess helpful in a way, but it gets added. Like it's just another feature in the StreamYard. So there you have it. But doing that, but I did want to just come on here really quickly, just kind of recap everything that happened at Halas Hall on Wednesday. You had Ben Johnson address the media, Caleb Williams' first open locker room session of the week, and then, you know, I always take advantage of those locker room sessions to talk to the players about the previous game, which would have been the 24-20 victory over the New York Football Giants. And, you know, if you were up late at night, or I guess technically early in the morning, I asked you guys what plays you wanted me to highlight. A lot of you talked about Colston Loveland's clutch catch, that 20-yard reception in the middle of the field in the fourth quarter. Darnell, Wright, just manhandling Brian Burns and putting him into the ground with one arm. I also saw, and for the people who mentioned CJ Gardner-Johnson, I saw those, and it was on my to-do list today, but CJ kind of got caught up with a couple of one-on-ones, a media scrum, so there just wasn't enough time in the media availability on Wednesday for me to go over there and talk to CJ Gardner-Johnson about his 2 sacks, and also the forced fumble that he had against Jackson Dart. But I still have the video. There's still tomorrow, and we could still talk about it potentially if he becomes available. Just some quick housekeeping things. Bears' first injury report was today. I was out there at practice. I think I don't think anybody should be too concerned at all, especially at this point. What the Bears have been liking, what they've been doing early on, is kind of just holding some people out, due to rest. And you have Grady Jarrett, rest, DNP, TJ Edwards, the hamstring, did not practice. Jaquan Brisker, back. I was in the locker room today. Jaquan told me, he's like, "What's up?" And I'm like, "What's going on, Jaquan?" Seems like he's going to be okay. He was a DNP today. Kevin Byard, also rest, didn't see him out there. DJ Moore, shoulder. Roma Dunze, ankle. Tyreek Stevenson, shoulder. Jade Walker, concussion. All DNPs for Wednesday's practice. Cole Kmet, Dominique Robinson, DeAndre Swift, all limited. Saw Dominique Robinson in the locker room. Saw Cole Kmet in the locker room. DeAndre Swift, I actually wanted to talk to DeAndre Swift today. Nothing really like X and O's or anything, but the Nike, let me see if I can find this really quick. The name of the football cleat. For all you ball players, former ball players, high school, wherever level you played. I played from middle school all the way up to my senior year of high school. The Nike Vapor Carbon Fly touchdown cleats. If you know that cleat, 1, you're a ball knower, and 2, it's the greatest football cleat of all time. I saw DeAndre, I think either he wore him in a game or he had him in his locker. I was going to talk to him about it and just basically say, why is this the greatest cleat? And that's basically it. But I actually talked to wide receiver JP Richardson about the football cleat. He's like, "Yo, you're a ball knower." I'm like, "You get it too." And I thought he would be a little too young for that cleat, which is crazy to even think about and say. But he knew about it. He actually showed me a pair of cleats that he had in his drawer. But really quick story about JP Richardson. People were like, where's this going? Well, it connects with Colston Loveland. So Colston, I wrote a feature story on Colston Loveland that would have came out 2 days prior to his breakout game against Cincinnati Bengals. Well, JP Richardson and Colston Loveland, every single day after practice, they go on the jugs machine, catch a bunch of footballs. I asked him how much exactly. I think Colston told me 100. I asked JP, he said he didn't really have a number, but they put in that work on the jugs machine. And I asked JP Richardson, again, Bears undrafted rookie wide receiver, like, why do you guys do that? What's the reason behind it? And JP was telling me that when he was back at TCU, Jack Beck, I believe the receiver, I'm blanking on the team that he's on right now. He would do that with him after every practice. Okay, he's on the Las Vegas Raiders. So he would go after practice with Jack Beck and just catch footballs. So for JP Richardson, he didn't want to keep himself accountable. He wanted to get somebody else to do it with him. And he just brought Colston Loveland along. And so now every single day after practice, you usually don't see them first in the locker room because they're out there using the jugs machines and getting better. But yeah, just talking with him and, did you see that JP Richardson was like, did you see that catch that Loveland made? Of course I did. And I wanted to talk to Loveland about that. And that's where we're going to take this discussion. I know I have Ben Johnson, Caleb Williams in the headline for the show. We'll get into some takeaways from the press conferences, but it was every Wednesday, Thursday, bring the film and try to break down plays that I think are interesting, just to get a little bit more insight on from the players themselves. Let's start with Colston Loveland on that 20-yard reception. First, if you want to watch the full video, I'm going to plug where I work, which is actually this red cup, not a red solo cup, but a red cup. Watch, it says Marquee Sports on it, but you can go to watch Marquee Sports or marqueesports.com to watch the full breakdown from Colston Loveland and Darnell Wright, which is embedded into the article. But some takeaways. It was interesting to know that Colston didn't even know it was third down when he made that reception, which is fascinating. I think that, it's a crucial point in the game, fourth quarter, down, 20 to 10 at that point, I believe, before that drive happens. And Colston didn't even know that it was a third down play. Makes the reception. He said he also did not like the initial route that he ran, kind of basically a stop route in the middle of the field. Said he could have won, he could have came back to the football better instead of floating over. I'm paraphrasing here, but he didn't like the initial route, but also to improvise and see Caleb extending the play going left and him just kind of following along. Said all that stuff goes all the way back to like training camp days where you work the scramble drill. So it was nice to see Colston just continue to make plays, man. Like his last 2 weeks, I believe it's 10 receptions, 170 plus yards, 2 touchdowns. The Bears rookie number 10 overall pick, Colston Loveland, starting to really show what he's about, what he's capable of doing, and paying dividends for this Bears offense, knowing that you have another weapon in just a passing game for Caleb Williams. I also asked Colston about Darnell Wright's block. And we were kind of just both smiling when we were watching the play because it is insane that Darnell Wright literally stopped, at the time, the league's leading pass rusher with one arm. To have the strength, to have the athletic ability to kind of catch Brian Burns and then put him to the ground and basically say, no, you're not going anywhere. Well, Colston Loveland was impressed. Who wasn't impressed, though, or no, I wouldn't say that. It's not that Darnell Wright wasn't impressed with the block. He said it was a good play, but he also did not come away impressed with his overall performance in that game, which I don't find that all too interesting because I know that Darnell Wright has such high standards for himself, but it is interesting to hear that when Darnell Wright's he's been playing some really good football. I think you watch the tape, you see that. But there are plays that he said, even in the breakdown, if you go watch it, like there are a couple times where Brian Burns should have had a sack. But when you have a quarterback like Caleb Williams who can evade, you can get away with not being your best on a certain rep because your quarterback will make you right. So that is nice knowing that can happen. But it's just I always find it interesting talking to these players. It's a really good highlight. When I asked Darnell, right, is it weird that an offensive lineman like yourself continues to have like these highlight viral type of plays? And he's like, I'm not too worried about that. I don't really even. I asked him, do you pay attention to Bears Twitter at all or anything like that? He's like, no, he just cares about the win, and that doesn't surprise me, Darnell. But he wasn't too happy with the performance. And I think he's looking to prove himself against this Minnesota Vikings defense that presents a lot of problems. And that's where we're going to take this discussion now, you guys. And actually, before we do, I think this is a good time because it's not going to be that long of a video, just kind of quick, what I heard, what stood out, obviously the locker room interviews. But before we get into Caleb Williams, Ben Johnson, what they said, and why I think they're just in sync. And why Ben Johnson loves to have Caleb Williams as his quarterback. I have to tell you, though, first about Windy City Sports Cards. As you know, they specialize in buying and selling all things related to Chicago sports. So whether you're a diehard fan of the Bears, Bulls, Cubs, White Sox, or Blackhawks, you know they've got you covered with an extensive selection of sports memorabilia and collectibles. In addition to those Chicago-focused items, everybody, they also offer a vast collection of sports trading cards and memorabilia from your favorite teams and players. So visit their online store to find exactly what you're looking for to complete your collection or to simply discover a new favorite. You can check them out at 312-WindyCitySportsCards.com. That's 312-WindyCitySportsCards.com. I also have the link to Windy City Sports Cards in description below if you want to check them out. And this is also a public service announcement for any other brands out there that want to partner with me. Just shoot me a DM on Twitter. Actually, if you go on my Twitter, my email's on there as well. So if you're looking, I got you. Maybe we can work something out. But this is a Nicholas Moriano show that is not only in landscape mode on YouTube, but apparently vertically on YouTube. Also streaming on X right now. And then you can find this episode, if you're an audio listener, after the show is done on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, Amazon Music. And then one last thing before we go into some of the top takeaways from Ben Johnson, Caleb Williams. Go check out the film breakdown articles on MarqueeSportsNetwork.com. Do you not, if you're opposed to it, do you like insight from the players themselves instead of everybody else breaking down the play on X and every social media? Why not hear it from the players who are involved? That's what I do. So go check it out on MarqueeSportsNetwork.com. You can find the complete article and every other breakdown that I've done all on there. Okay. Let's check out, for me, when I was I was in person there for Ben Johnson's press conference. And then actually when Caleb Williams was at the podium, I was still in the locker room getting just the content and information that I needed from the day. But I just thought it was interesting. If you listen to both these press conferences, maybe you go watch it on the Chicago Bears website. I can just tell that the head coach, quarterback, are everything that Ben Johnson's saying, it's sticking with Caleb Williams. And something very subtle, like when talking about Brian Flores' defense for the Minnesota Vikings, their defensive coordinator, the mental strain, the challenge that it's going to present. Like, here's Ben Johnson's answer, and this is in his opening remarks. He said, you've got to be on your, that's a typo, best for all 60 to 70 plays on offense to have a chance. Okay. And then when you hear Caleb later obviously doesn't hear this hear his head coach speak. He's like, well, I want to showcase throughout the game that we can play all 60 minutes or 60 plays. And like, it's going to take this amount of effort, this perfect performance, basically, to really get through a game when Brian Flores is a defensive coordinator on the other side. It's just everything that I feel like Ben is saying, Caleb Williams is not letting it go in one ear out the other. It's okay. I believe in the head coach. It is going to take every single opportunity in a game. So we got to maximize our opportunities. And the way that Ben Johnson, Caleb Williams has been able to maximize his time in the football field is avoiding sacks. And it was just interesting because that's been such a focal point, especially after all the sack avoidance that he had in the win against the Giants. It's like, how good is this guy at doing this? Well, when you look at just the first 9 games of 2025 compared to his first 9 games of his rookie season, he's only been sacked, Caleb Williams, 14 times through the first 9 games. In 2024, that rookie season, 38 sacks through the first 9 games. And going back and seeing the sack total numbers, if I were to have you guess, whoever's in the live chat, I see Eric, I see Eva, I like, how many times would you think Caleb Williams got sacked against New England? It's an absurd amount. Or even Arizona. 6 for Arizona, 9 for New England. 38 sacks through the first 9 games. No wonder he league high 68 a season ago. See, Alex, 8. Isn't it outrageous? It's an outrageous number, but and Caleb Williams, he credited his offensive line for blocking for him. He's crediting the coaching staff for instilling this, the coaching point of getting the ball out quickly. But you know what? He needs to take credit himself. Like, there are times where there's free pressure off his blind side, and he just has and he was asked, like, do you have a sixth sense? And he said, well, I want to get his words exactly right, but he said on how he senses pressure in his blind spot. That was the question. I don't know, maybe a sixth sense kind of thing. I have no idea. In the moment, in those times, I just feel a little color, maybe feel the tackle or something getting engaged, and just try and get out of it, make a play. Yeah, he does make a play. And me is in the chat, dude, isn't he the toughest QB in the league? He could take So when he was in that game against the New York Giants, like, there were times where it kind of took a little bit to get back up. But I liked his answer too on just how he kind of prepares his body. I'm going to see if I can find that exact. Yeah, so it was the very last question in the press conference. When the question was phrased like on the appreciation of him, Caleb Williams, taking every snap, but also having sympathy for Vikings quarterback JJ McCarthy, because he's been a guy that's been, throughout his first 2 years in the NFL, injuries have just taken over. But Caleb Williams said it's one of the most important things of being an athlete, just trying to be a star in this league, is actually being able to be out there. And so for myself, I take a lot of pride in many different avenues of recovery so that I can be ready for my guys. Because as they always say, I think the saying goes, the best ability is availability. Me being able to be ready for Wednesday practice, Thursday practice, and so on and so forth to get to Sunday or whatever day the game is really important to me. So if that means I need to get to sleep earlier in the week and throughout the week, if that means more body work throughout the week, always adapting to whatever I'm feeling and understanding that's really important. Like, Caleb Williams is 2 years in. He's not even 2 years. He's in his second season into the NFL, but maybe that's just common knowledge, common sense, but that's just a mature individual, in my opinion. Just knowing what he needs to do, even if it is getting a little bit more sleep throughout the week, which I think we all can do. I know I definitely can. But he's there's a lot of people that talk a lot of crap about Caleb Williams that never been around him, don't know him, and just kind of spew uneducated opinions. But every time I've been in a press conference with him, seen him interact with his teammates in the locker room, I don't know. It just doesn't come across as a guy that, he has his head on straight. He knows what he needs to do to get ready for Sundays or Mondays or Thursdays or Friday against the Philadelphia Eagles to be ready to play. And actually, I completely dropped the ball here, but for the first time in what has been a long time, saw Jalen Johnson in the locker room. Actually, it was Josh Blackwell and Jalen Jones. So there's a basketball hoop in Halas Hall. It's just in the middle. And they were shooting the ball. You had to get the pass from somebody, but you couldn't bring your arms down. So you got the ball and then just shoot. Just flick of the wrist, shoot. And so Jalen was walking from one end of the locker room to the other, and I think it was Josh Black, or maybe it was Elijah Hicks, sorry, who passed him the ball. Like, here, we're doing this. So he puts Jalen Johnson puts his iPad down, his phone down, and then just starts shooting. But it was just nice seeing one out there in the locker room. It was nice. And the whole talk today, and let me get to this with Jalen Johnson, because he was asked about it. He was brought up in Ben Johnson's portion of the press conference, like, what's the status? Well, here we go. On the injury status of Kyler Gordon and Jalen Johnson, Ben Johnson verbatim said, I think we should be able to get them back at some point, end of the season here, but to be determined on when those clocks will start clicking here. I saw Jalen in the weight room. So Ben Johnson saw him. Maybe he hadn't seen him for a while. He seems like he's excited about where he's right now, and he's hopeful that he's going to be able to be out on the practice field here in the near future. And then follow up to Gordon, will he still be short-term IR? Ben Johnson said, yeah, we're still thinking that. I can't tell you exactly when, but hopefully in the near future here. I don't know, guys, if it's tight, which it has been in the NFC playoff picture, what if the last 3 games? I don't know. I have no idea when Jalen Johnson's going to come back. I haven't heard anything. But here's, the remaining schedule as we're looking at it today. 8 games left? You have the Minnesota Vikings on the road. You have the Pittsburgh Steelers at home. You have the Philadelphia Eagles in Philly, Black Friday. You have the Packers at home. No, on the road. Then you have the Cleveland Browns, Packers again, 49ers, Lions. What if, just put it out there, what if he's out, or what if he's back for the last, maybe let's call it 3 games? Packers, 49ers, Lions. That's all. That's the NFC right there. That's who's going to maybe get in. I think that would be a huge boost for that Bears defense, that back end, to get their 2-time Pro Bowl cornerback who hasn't played since week 2 in Detroit. Last play he made was a 3rd down breakup on a pass intended to Amon-Ra St. Brown, if I'm not mistaken. And the very next play, the Detroit Lions missed a field goal. The Bears missed that. They missed Kyler Gordon. And you know what? When Kyler's back, I would not be surprised if we still see C.J. Gardner-Johnson on the football field with Kyler, with Jaquan, with Kevin Byard, with Tyreek Stevenson. Put them all out there. I think you get really creative with how they're doing. Man, I don't know. I went over everything in a very non-coordinated way, but I feel like those were some of the top takeaways that you need to know about going just from Wednesday's media availability. I'll be back at Halas Hall tomorrow for more availability. We'll hear from coordinators, Dennis Allen, Declan Doyle, Richard Hightower, and then I believe it's going to be defensive assistants. All these days are running the same, but guys, this is that's going to do it though for this episode of the Nicholas Moriano Show. Condensed mini episode recap from everything that happened on Wednesday at Halas Hall. So let me know what you think about this. If you're watching vertically, I don't even know where you're watching from, to be completely honest. I see myself. I should probably take a picture of this where I see both of these. Let me know how that worked, if it worked. If not, we'll figure it out. But that's going to do it for this episode. Make sure to like, subscribe, leave a comment, share the YouTube channel with a fellow Bears fan. And then if you can, I think you can, leave a review on Apple Podcasts or wherever you really listen to your podcast. Grow the algorithms, as they say. So appreciate all you guys, and go to marqueesportsnetwork.com. Shoot, here's what I'm going to do. This is so easy to do. We're going to share my screen really quickly at the end here so you can see exactly what you should be looking at. Boom. Let me know if you could see this, which you should. There we go. We have obviously a lot of Cubs coverage. Andy, my guy. Oh, there's my guy Scott Bear. Hopefully you can see that. Wrote a great article on Austin Booker, who, is making the most of his opportunities. And then Bears film analysis, Colston, Loveland, Darnell, Wright, break down big plays in week 10, just to show you what this looks like. You go down. I give you everything you need to know in terms of play, what's happening, embeds. Boom. What is this article? You play it, and then you get actual film analysis. There's me. There's me and Colston Loveland. Oh, bam. There's Darnell Wright. And then myself too, right there. We're right there. So go check that out if you haven't already. And let me know what you think. And also let me know what plays you're going to still want insight from. But that's going to do it for this episode of the Nicholas Moriano Show. Appreciate all of you. Have a great rest of your Wednesday. And I'll see you guys next time. But until then, adios, Bears fans. Bend over to your right.
What the was that?
What's up, Bears fans?
People want to hear me talk.